Today I'm going to review the Adventures expansion to Dominion. How these reviews work is we're going to go over some of the things that Adventures introduces or emphasizes, some of the things in Adventures that will make or break an expansion, and then look at some extremes, the high end, the low end, both on strength and fun, and finally some fluff at the end. I'm going to give a very American letter grade to each of these aspects, and we're going to have a nice weighted average at the end to evaluate on. So, for some context, Adventures was the 9th expansion for Dominion, released in April 2015, about 10 years ago now. It was a really big deal at the time. The previous expansion guilds was 2 years before this, and expansions have been like every 6 months going into that, and guilds was the last one. Clearly not. Adventures happened, and there's been regular expansions ever since. Maybe not 6 months apart, but there's been expansions since then. So Adventures was the first one that was kind of called Modern Dominion. Adventures is bringing you 30 new kingdom cards. It has 20 events, whatever those are. 8 traveler upgrade cards, unique ones, whatever those are. Some tavern mats for each player, whatever those are. And Adventures tokens, whatever those are. Well, clearly there's some new things. There's events, whatever those are. Reserves that use the tavern mats. Travelers use the traveler upgrade cards, and tokens, well, gosh, contents in the new thing are the same. Returning emphasis on durations. Prior to Adventures, durations had only appeared in Seaside. Adventures has quite a few of them, and really expansions since Adventures have had durations. So, although Adventures has an emphasis on them, it's not like it's now like this amazing thing that Adventures has. Every expansion since then, I believe, has had durations. So, go ahead and look at some of these mechanics, like events, whatever those are. Here's what events are. Events are things that you buy, just like you would a card, and you get their effect immediately. Compare this to a card. You buy a card, it goes into your discard pile, you have to shuffle around, and you have to play it. And so there can be a pretty big delay between when you buy it and when you start to get something out of it. Events, there is no delay. I have some coppers I want to trash. Well, I can just buy Bonfire and bang, they're trashed. I want some extra cards. Well, just buy Ball. Like, what's Workshop doing for me? I'm just getting my 2/4 costs right immediately. I don't need to workshop them. And so, this is actually really fantastic. Opens up a lot. And there's a lot of things you can do with events. Just getting this instant gratification is so cool and so nice. I'm going to give them the highest grade I give, which is an A. Alright, durations. So, a lot of things in Seaside were these durations where you would see this +2 cards, -2 cards, this turn and next turn. Seaside clearly didn't have that. This is a new card. But a lot of them were kind of this equivalent effect now and later. Adventures really switches that up. All 4 of these things across the bottom are asymmetric. Look at Haunted Woods, for example. At the start of your next turn, +3 cards. Until then, something happens during your opponent's turn where they're getting attacked. It's an attack. And actually, when you play Haunted Woods, nothing happens. And this is real change. Seaside, at least the first edition, didn't have much of this going on. Hireling, compare. At the start of each of your turns for the rest of the game, +1 card. Like, this isn't a this turn and next turn. This is a forever. And so, there's definitely some novelty here. I do have a complaint about the Adventures durations, although I do love duration cards. One of the things that happens with duration cards is that, there's this really nasty thing that happens turn 3 and turn 4, where oftentimes, if you see a duration turn 3, you get an effect both turn 3 and turn 4, whereas if you see it turn 4, you have to wait, and that goes over a shuffle, and then, you don't get to have the duration card in your shuffle. This is a very technical thing. But Adventures really has, actually 3 strong durations that you will like to buy turns 1 or turn 2, which are Amulet, Dungeon, and Gear. And the effect of turn 3 versus turn 4 for these is massive. And so, for that reason, Although in general I do love duration cards, I have to ding the duration cards Adventures just a little bit. and give them an A-. All right, reserves, another one of these, whatever those are, but reserves are a lot like duration cards. They have this, mat. This is what a tavern mat looks like. That's the art on it. And how reserves work is that you play them. They'll do something kind of minimal for you, +1 card, +1 action. And then they'll say, put this on your tavern mat. And so you put it on your tavern mat, and then there's some trigger that allows you to take it off of your tavern mat and do something. So like, in the case of Ratcatcher, which you're looking at, the trigger is at the start of your turn. You may call this. It's taking it off your tavern mat, and you get to trash a card from your hand when you do that. There's some other triggers like, duplicate. You can see that this doesn't have like anything, so this is just kind of this dead card when you put it on your mat. But when you gain a card costing up to 6, you can get a second copy of it. You get a duplicate of it. There's some that don't come off. Distant Lands is this victory card. It's not going to come off your mat, but once you put it on your mat, it's 4 points. Wine Merchant, it's a lot of coins, +4 coins, +1 buy, and you get it back if you don't spend all the money. So you can think of these as like durations, but I get to wait and use their secondary effect when I want to. These we complained about this. We complained about this turn 3, turn 4. These are possibly even worse about that. And the reason is that, you look at this minimal effect and it's like, if I see this turn 3 or turn 4, like, heck, at least with Amulet I got to trash a card, but, Ratcatcher, I see it turn 4, gosh, that's doing nothing for me. And so, there's some of these that you will want to do that with. Ratcatcher's pretty like that, Transmogrifies like that. Duplicate you might want to open, but there's a good chance that if you see it turn 4, it's going to miss something that you actually want a second copy of. And so, I think we have to, just because, it's even more severe in effect than what we saw in the durations, although a lot of these are pretty compelling, we're gonna ding it down further down to a B+. Alright, Travelers. And so, you can see Peasant and Page are the Travelers, and then Soldier, Fugitive, Disciple, Teacher, for example, for Peasant are the Traveler upgrade cards. So there's actually 5 of these in a game, along with 10 of these, the Peasant and Page, which are the Kingdom piles. So there's 5 Soldiers, 5 Fugitives, etc. How these work is that you will buy, for example, a Peasant, and then you can play it, and when you play it and you discard it, you get and turn it into a Soldier, and so on. So like Soldier, you play it, you discard it, you can turn it into Fugitive, etc. And clearly, this has to be good things at the top for you to want to do that, and there are very, very good things at the top. Its Disciple is really, really good. Champion's really, really good. Teacher can be good. Hero can be good. And so, these are things that are fairly strong. We'll see them again later. So how do we think of Travelers? They are things that you almost have to buy. So maybe you don't get the most diversity from your game from that. But they also kind of have these duds in the middle of them, like Fugitive. You basically never want to keep a Fugitive. Treasure Hunter, you basically never want to keep a Treasure Hunter. So in that case, they can be a little bit repetitive, but more annoyingly, with these top things being so powerful, like Champion, gosh, you never have to worry about plus actions for the rest of the game, and you never have any attacks affecting you. For this reason, because these are so powerful, like it's really important to get to them early, and you have a problem where these things can end up such that you don't get to advance through them as quickly, and it can be completely random. Just because you won't get to shuffle them in because potentially your Peasant is on the bottom of your deck. So it can be a lot slower to these things at the end. And that can be pretty irritating. So although, moving up the line and honestly playing with these powerful cards is pretty dang fun, it can be kind of frustrating. And for that, I'm giving them a B. Alright, tokens. So Adventures comes with, the physical game comes with a bunch of these cardboard tokens. They'll say things like +1 card, -1 card, +1 coin, -2 coin cost. And what these things do is, although there's these two negative ones, there's -1 card and there's -1 coin. The rest of them are positives, and generally how they work is you are going to buy an event, and you are going to move that token onto a pile, and that pile does something different. It says on the event, like training, move your +1 coin token onto a pile, and when you play a card from that pile, you get +1 coin in addition to what else it does. Teacher, the end of this peasant line, is you get to move your card, your action, your buy, or your + coin token to an action supply pile. And so this is a pile modifier. There is another form of token, which is this journey token, and I guess rather than modifying the every play, it modifies like every other play. So you get like these asymmetrical cards like Ranger, where, if you're ever wondering how a Dominion card can give plus 2.5 cards, it's Ranger. Your first play is going to give 0, your second play is going to give 5, your third play is going to give 0, your fourth play is going to give 5. And so, these kind of go back and forth. Tokens are pretty cool to deal with. They go on your piles, they modify them. A lot of Dominion cards, I guess you can say, don't really need the modification. Like, you get one of these things in the game, like you get pathfinding. Well, there's no way you're not drawing now. So in that case, they can kind of, I don't know, make games a little bit monotonous. The other complaint about tokens is there's so few things that use them. Like you have your -2 cost token, and Fairy is the only thing that uses it. Like, what are we really doing? That's kind of no good. The journey token is only these 3 cards. Like there could be so many more. And although, I'm not thrilled about the effect, like they're pretty fun. Just for that, I'm going to give them a little bit more ding and give it a B-. Alright, some of the components, things that I guess we'll call make an expansion. One of those is attacks. Attacks in adventures, we have them. Here's a -1 coin token attack. They're not going to get their next coin. -1 card token attack. They're not going to get their next card. You have your 2 duration attacks, right? Swamp Hag, like maybe they can avoid it by not buying things, but as soon as they buy things, they're going to get a curse. These attacks are actually pretty fun. Like Giant tends to be a little bit on the weaker side, but these attacks are very novel. They're not something that we'd seen really in previous expansions, and so they're pretty cool, and I'm giving them an A. Draw pieces, villages, non-terminal draw, terminal draw. Draw pieces, you're usually looking for quantity over quality. As soon as you get up to about half of the cards in the expansion being draw pieces, like, that's an amazing expansion. Considering this, because like, if you use that expansion and you use a lot of the expansion, you're going to be able to draw in it, and drawing just enables you to do like everything you'd want to in Dominion. Like this is the whole fun part of the game. And so, we can kind of count them up. What is this? This is 10, +2 for the travelers is 12, plus maybe 2 events. We can call it like, I don't know, give half for each of those is 13. Out of 30, we're a little bit under half, so we'll give it an A-. Alright, Payload, technical term, but basically this is all the cool things that you get to do with your deck. Adventures is a little bit heavy on we're going to produce a bunch of coins. Miser, Giant, although they're very weak. Wine Merchant, Soldier, and really to some extent Treasure Trove and Hero, because they're treasure gainers. These are all things where you're looking to increase the number of coins that your deck produces. There are 2 pretty cool ones in Adventures. Bridge Troll. Bridge Troll is a cost reduction. Those are always fun because you get these like nice explosive games. And then Artificer is one where you get to really pay off just like drawing cards, because you draw lots of cards, and then Artificer you get to discard them. And so, although a lot of these end up looking kind of the same because they're just plus coins, these 2 are cool enough that we're going to put it up to a B+. All right, extremes. Let's look at high-end strength. High-end strength, we have the 2 travelers that we mentioned earlier. We have Bridge Troll from before, these really explosive games, and we have this event called Inheritance that is quite exciting. You get to turn your estates into something costing up to 4 like immediately, and that's pretty cool. These really all lead to games that look fairly different, although, you're going to want to buy Peasant, you're going to want to buy Page, you're going to want to buy Bridge Troll, and really you're going to want to buy Inheritance when they come up. The games with them, they don't like railroad the game, and so although these are really strong things, and it's really nice to have really strong things because really genuinely Strength and Dominion is fun, they don't really make every game the same, and so for that reason they're getting an A. Alright, low end Strength. What cards suck? Well, we mentioned Giant and Miser earlier. These things tend to not be particularly viable if you're trying to win. Just gonna put it out there. You don't really want to be buying Giant unless you're playing a lot of them. You don't really want to be buying Miser unless, you don't really want to be buying Miser. There's also some events that are really on the low end. Quest and Raid. These tend to affect things a little bit less just because, they aren't like taking up a kingdom slot, but, in general, these things are really, really on the weak side. Really all 4 of these you're not going to buy. Giant, sometimes you get a little bit of play out of. Raid, sometimes you get a little bit of play out of, but, they're really not that good, and so I'm giving it a C- here. Alright, most exciting card, it's Artificer. We talked about it before. This is basically this card where you can just pay off like all of these fun things that you do. Probably the most fun thing that I have in Dominion is just playing lots and lots of cards, drawing through lots and lots of cards, and Artificer is there to pay it off, You draw lots and lots of cards, you play an Artificer, you get discard cards, you get to gain cards with Artificer because of how many you discarded, and then you get to draw them all back, and it's fantastic. That said, compared to some of our other expansions, this is like a relative one. It's maybe not the most compelling thing. It's not super explosive, it's not whatever, and so I'm giving it a B-. Most unpleasant thing in Adventures is this warrior attack. It's on one of the travelers, it's on Page, and the reason that it is unpleasant is because, each other player discards a top card of deck and trashes it if it costs 3 or 4. You remember, we go all the way back to the Travelers. We talked about how you really want to get up to these things, and so what Warrior can do is, if you're going along, you're trying to get up to this thing, your opponent's Warrior can trash your own Warrior, and then, oh man, you're all the way back at the start. And so that's really not ideal. And so, although it's frustrating, it's rare. It's kind of this random thing that has to happen. They have to play a warrior basically exactly when you have your warrior or treasure hunter on top. And so it's actually kind of rare that it does this. And so as far as unpleasant things go, it's really not that unpleasant. It's an A-. Alright. Fluff. Theme, artwork, vibe. Theme, Adventures puts out some cards that you probably wouldn't be able to see in previous expansions, card names wise. It's a little bit weak. I don't know. I'm giving it an A-. Artwork. Adventures has amazing artwork. Just look at Expedition. That's an A. Vibe. Everything is fantastic in Adventures. It's something you just love playing with all of these cards. It's an A. Alright. Weighted average. It's getting a 3.39. You can say that's out of 4. Adventures is a fantastic expansion. Really, it set the tone for Modern Dominion. Here's your first expansion in 2 years, and it's fantastic. Even 10 years later, it's probably the expansion that, if you go in with base set, the first expansion you can get is Adventures. It adds all of this new stuff, these kind of boring base cards you can put tokens on. Suddenly you have these events in the game to deal with. You get your durations without having to go through Seaside. So, should you buy it? Yeah, you should buy Adventures.